everyone. Welcome back to Learning.
Our goal for you, listening right now, is to decode 3 of the most confusing yet absolutely essential phrasal verbs.
Because passing a formal grammar test is one thing, but actually navigating a casual conversation without sounding like some 19th century novelist, well, that's another. The foundational rule we have to establish, the reality you simply must accept to move forward, is that phrasal verbs are just not logical.
They really aren't. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because if they completely break the logical rules of vocabulary, why don't native speakers just abandon them?
I've wondered that so many times.
Right. Why not use the formal single-word equivalents? Like instead of saying figure out, why not just say determine? Or instead of come across, just say discover. That would save learners a massive amount of headaches.
Oh, absolutely. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it comes down to a really striking statistic from our research. Native English speakers use phrasal verbs up to 5 times more frequently than single-word equivalents in casual speech.
Wait, 5 times?
Yeah, 5 times. It is an overwhelming preference.
Wow, so 5 times is not just a quirk. That is like the operating system of the language.
It really is. And the mechanism driving that preference is social comfort. Using formal Latin-based verbs in a casual setting creates social distance. So you sit down at a coffee shop and tell your friend, I cannot determine the solution to my dilemma. You sound incredibly stiff.
Yeah, you sound like you are reading from a legal contract or something.
Exactly. It puts a wall up between you and the other person. Phrasal verbs break that wall down. Saying, I can't figure it out, signals warmth.
Oh, I see.
It signals that you are off the clock, speaking freely, and treating the other person as an equal rather than, an audience. Fluency is not about memorizing the longest words in the dictionary. It is about matching the rhythm and the vocabulary that people actually use to connect with one another.
Spot on. So if we want to master that rhythm, we need to dive into the specifics. Since we are actively trying to make sense of this topic today, let's start with the phrasal verb that literally means to find an answer. Figure out.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it.
So figure out is the everyday replacement for words like understand, solve, or resolve. But the crucial nuance here is that it implies a process. It is not instant knowledge.
Meaning you don't just instantly know the answer.
Right. You have to arrive at it through mental effort. There is a journey involved. Like you might tell a coworker, I finally figured out how to use the new software.
Oh, I get it. Notice the struggle implied in that sentence. You didn't just open the software and instantly comprehend its architecture.
Exactly. You clicked the wrong buttons, you got frustrated, maybe you searched the help menu, and then eventually the pieces clicked into place. You solved the puzzle.
I want to try one. How about when someone is stressed about a missing package and I say, hey, don't worry, we'll figure it out.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
That is perhaps the most common usage in the modern workplace. It is a phrase of immense comfort.
Because it means a solution exists.
Yes, when you say, we'll figure it out, you are telling the other person that a solution exists in the future, even if neither of you has the slightest clue what that solution is right now. You are committing to the process of finding it together.
I love that. Okay, so we've solved the problem in our heads with figure out.
Right, but language is inherently social. Once you have that solution, you have to verbalize it to the group. And that introduces our second verb, which is how we raise topics. Or, as English speakers say, bring them up.
Bring up. Okay, let's look at that.
What's fascinating here is that bring up carries 2 primary definitions that operate in completely different spheres of life. The first meaning is to mention something, or to introduce a new topic into a conversation.
Let me try to build a sentence with that.
Yeah.
I know we are having a lovely dinner, but I need to bring up the budget deficit.
Well, that's a great way to ruin a dinner party, but a flawless use of the phrasal verb.
Yeah, probably not the best dinner topic.
Definitely not. But you are introducing a topic that was not previously on the table. You will also hear this used defensively. The phrase, since you brought it up, is a very, very common conversational shield.
Like, I wasn't going to say anything, but now I will.
Exactly. It means I wasn't going to mention this uncomfortable topic, but since you opened the door, we are going to walk through it.
Okay, so meaning 1 is introducing a topic to a conversation. Logically, meaning 2 has to be related. Like, maybe it means to bring up a subtopic or to elevate an idea.
You would naturally assume that, but the actual second meaning is to raise a child.
Wait, seriously? How do we get from mentioning the budget deficit at dinner to raising a human being?
It completely defies all logical progression. but it is deeply embedded in the language. You would say, he was brought up in a small town, or she was brought up by her grandparents.
So it encompasses the entire environment.
Yes, the education and the moral values imparted to a person from childhood into adulthood. It's not just the physical act of feeding a child. It is the entire social rearing process.
That is wild.
Right. Let's move to the third piece of this puzzle. When we bring up topics in conversation, we naturally care about how our words are received. We want our message to land the right way. And that brings us to our final phrasal verb, come across.
Okay, come across.
This one earns its reputation for being nuanced. Much like bring up, it operates with two wildly different definitions depending entirely on the context of the sentence, meaning one is the serendipity meaning, to find or discover something completely by chance without actively looking for it.
So like I was cleaning the attic and I came across an old photograph of my parents.
Perfect. Yes. You were not up in the attic conducting a targeted search for photographs. You were moving boxes and the photograph simply appeared in your path. It was an accidental discovery.
Got it. But I'm noticing a pattern from the source material regarding who or what we typically come across. We don't really use it for people we already know, do we?
We rarely do. You wouldn't say, I came across my friend John at the supermarket.
Right. That makes it sound like John was an inanimate object I found hiding under a pile of vegetables.
Exactly. You bump into John, you run into John. But you come across lost keys, interesting articles, or historical facts. It is reserved for information and objects.
Okay, so that is meaning one. What is meaning two?
Meaning two is entirely focused on human perception. It is the impression you make on other people. It is how your attitude, your personality, or your underlying intentions are perceived by an audience, regardless of what you are actually trying to project.
Oh, I want to try this one because it feels crucial for professional situations.
Go for it.
Let's say I walk out of a really intense job interview. I call a friend. I wouldn't say, did the hiring manager evaluate my character accurately? I would ask, how did I come across?
Yes, that is the most natural human way to ask for feedback. You are asking if the vibe you intended to project actually landed with the people sitting across the table.
Right, like she comes across as very confident or he comes across as a bit arrogant.
Exactly. Now, I want to pause here because I think the best way to really cement these three verbs, figure out, bring up, and come across, is to hear them operating together in their natural habitat.
That sounds like a great idea.
So let's do a quick role play. Listeners, pay attention and see if you can track how we use all three verbs to navigate a standard office dilemma. Actually, take a second to pause the audio right now, grab a mental notepad, and get ready.
Okay, we back. I'll set the scene. We are colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
We just walked out of a very tense meeting with a client who is unhappy with our project timeline. We are standing by the coffee machine doing the post-meeting debrief. I will start.
Ready when you are.
Well, that was a disaster. I still can't figure out why they were so angry about the design phase.
I know, and I really wish you hadn't brought up the billing delay when they were already clearly frustrated.
I had to. If I didn't mention it now, it would be a bigger issue later. Do you think I came across as too defensive when I explained the software glitch?
A little bit, but
Yeah.
honestly, we just need to figure out a revised schedule before tomorrow morning.
Agreed. Let's look at the calendar. Oh, wait, I just came across an email from the vendor. They can deliver the assets 2 days early.
Okay, perfect. Bring that up at the morning check-in tomorrow, and it should smooth things over.
Oh. Wow.
That felt incredibly authentic, didn't it? We use the verbs to analyze a problem, manage conversational topics, and worry about social impressions.
Yeah, and if you swap those phrasal verbs out for their formal equivalents, like, I cannot determine why they were angry, or I wish you hadn't introduced the billing delay.
Right. Did I project a defensive demeanor?
Exactly. The entire conversation feels alien. It sounds like two robots attempting to simulate human workplace stress.
Which just proves the point that fluency is about social warmth. But, to achieve that warmth, you have to avoid a few structural landmines.
Ah, yes. The mistakes.
Right. Even advanced learners get tripped up by the mechanics of these specific phrases. Let's transition into the three most common mistakes people make, starting with the grammatical trap hidden inside, figure out.
Oh, I am so guilty of this one.
Well, you're not alone. This is a structural rule that trips up almost everyone at some point. Figure out is what linguists categorize as a separable phrasal verb. The two words, figure and out, can be separated by the object of the sentence.
So figure out the problem and figure the problem out are both perfectly acceptable.
They are completely interchangeable. However, English introduces a strict, unbreakable rhythm rule when you replace the noun with a pronoun. Words like it, him, her, or them.
The sandwich rule.
Yes. The best way to visualize this rule is to think of a sandwich. The pronoun must be the meat in the middle. The words figure and out are your two pieces of bread.
So you can say, I figured it out. The it is safely tucked right there in the middle, between the bread.
Exactly. The rhythm of that sentence feels balanced to a native ear. But the mistake learners make is placing the pronoun at the end. They say, I figured out it.
I will openly admit I made this mistake constantly when I was learning the mechanics of English rhythm. I would say, can you figure out them?
And to a native speaker, this is a structural disaster.
Right. It's like dropping the meat on the floor outside the sandwich. It immediately signals that something is structurally broken in the sentence, even if your meaning is perfectly clear.
Exactly. The sandwich rule. The pronoun goes in the middle. Figure it out. Bring them up. It applies across the board. Now let's look at the second major mistake, which involves the physical boundaries of the verb bring up.
Oh, I have a story for this one.
Let's test the logic first. Let's say I am helping a friend move. I am carrying a really heavy box of books up 3 flights of stairs to their new apartment. I am moving in an upward direction, and I'm bringing the box. So, can I tell my friend I brought it up?
This is a magnificent trap. I have fallen into this exact trap myself. The strong warning from the linguistic data is do not use bring up for physical lifting.
What happens in the listener's brain if I do?
Well, because bring up is so firmly locked into its abstract meanings. Introducing a topic or raising a child, using it for a physical object, creates severe cognitive dissonance.
So tell me your story. What did you do?
Okay, imagine you are at a grocery store. You struggle to lift a heavy bag of dog food onto the checkout counter. You wipe your brow and proudly tell the cashier, I brought it up.
Oh no! The cashier is going to freeze because it sounds like you are adopting the bag of dog food and raising it as your own child.
Precisely. The cashier's brain tries to process the phrase through the lens of child rearing. It is a highly comical error. If you are talking about heavy lifting, you must retreat to literal verbs.
You picked up the bag, you lifted the box, you carried it upstairs.
Exactly. You do not bring it up.
Note to self, do not adopt the groceries. I think that illustrates beautifully how language is less about dictionary definitions and more about a collective agreed-upon social contract.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to our third major mistake regarding our final verb, come across.
This one raises an important question about how we construct sentences regarding human perception.
Right. When you are utilizing meaning to, talking about the impression you make, there is a structural bridge you must include. You must use the word as.
So she comes across as confident, not she comes across confident.
Yes. If you omit that tiny 2-letter word, the entire meaning of the sentence collapses back into meaning one, the serendipitous discovery of an object.
I see. So if I say, I came across confident without the as.
You are literally saying that you were walking down the sidewalk, minding your own business, and you accidentally tripped over a physical object called confidence that someone had carelessly dropped on the ground.
Wow. I used to make this error in job interviews all the time. I would ask my mentors, did I come across professional? And they would have to correct me. Without the word as, the verb reverts to its physical default.
Right. The as acts as a necessary bridge connecting the action to an abstract concept. You must say, I came across as professional. He comes across as arrogant.
The as is the magic key that unlocks the second meaning. That is incredibly helpful.
All right, we have covered a massive amount of linguistic terrain today. To ensure this actually sticks, we are going to do a rapid-fire quiz.
I'm ready for this.
3 questions, synthesizing everything we just explored. Listeners, I want you to try and answer these out loud before we give away the solution. Are you ready for question 1?
Let's test the knowledge.
Question 1. You have been staring at a complex spreadsheet for 2 hours. Nothing makes sense. Suddenly, you notice a formula error, you fix it, and the numbers align. What phrasal verb describes what you just did?
Well, I didn't just understand it instantly. I went through a process of struggle, so I figured it out. And I made sure to put the pronoun it right in the middle of the sandwich.
Flawless. Question 2. You are in a staff meeting. Everyone is discussing marketing. You suddenly realize no one has talked about the budget, and it is a critical issue. You decide to introduce this new topic to the room. What are you doing?
I'm bringing it up. And importantly, I'm doing this in a conversational setting, not physically lifting a heavy ledger onto the table, because I do not want to adopt the budget as my child.
Perfect retention. Final question, question 3. You go on a first date. You are trying to be charming, but you are worried you might have talked too much about your cat. You call your best friend afterward to ask about the impression you made. What is the exact phrase you use to ask this?
I need to know my social perception, so I ask, how did I come across? And if I am describing the impression, I must use the bridge. I hope I didn't come across as crazy.
3 for 3. Excellent job.
Thank you. So what is the practical takeaway here for you, the listener?
If you want to sound truly natural, you have to be willing to embrace the messiness of the language. You have to let go of the rigid idea that every single word operates like a neat, predictable math equation. Fluency isn't about achieving grammatical perfection. It's about matching the cadence of real human interaction.
My final piece of advice is to change how you consume English media. Do not stare at vocabulary lists. Switch from passive listening to active observation. When you watch a film or listen to an interview, tune your ear specifically to catch these 3 phrases in the wild. Notice the context. Notice how the speaker's tone changes when they use them. That active observation is how the brain truly internalizes language.
Absolutely. And as you go out into the world to observe English speakers, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. Take a moment to think deeply about your own native language. What invisible, entirely illogical phrases do you use every single day? What are the idioms that roll off your tongue effortlessly that you don't even think twice about but would absolutely baffle an outsider trying to translate them literally? Because I guarantee you every single language has its own version of a stumbling, tripping, profile-finding phrase. It is the messy, beautiful reality of human communication.
That's a great thought to leave on.
It really is. So I challenge you this week, try to figure out, bring up, and come across as in 3 different conversations. See how it changes the warmth of your interactions. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next linguistic investigation. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We will see you next time.